Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, it seems like every time you turn on the news, there's another hack attack. So how do we stay one step ahead of the bad guys? We'll be talking to a leading expert next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, if I had a teenage boy or girl, I'd be telling them to get into IT and cybersecurity. You will have job protection for the rest of your life. It is just exploding, and that's why we invited Bob Kehr on my show. He's with Kehr Technologies. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you very much. Really glad to be here.
You were telling me right before the show that you started in 2003, and that was almost like the Leave It to Beaver days, wasn't it? There wasn't a lot going on.
You're exactly right. Security was the least of your problems. You only had to worry about your network being available or your computer staying functioning. Hackers were not really a problem at that point in time. It was still early days.
And take us forward to 2024, soon to be 2025. What are you seeing now?
We see a lot of problems with viruses and hacking coming in through email. Business email compromise is one of the leading factors for fraud, particularly when it comes to banking and wire transfer, that sort of thing. And so having a good email security is really important. And also making sure that people are staying out of your account is really important. We've implemented something called an identity threat detection and response system. The detection part is where we recognize someone has gotten into your email account and is not doing the right things. And the response is where we block them out and we essentially kick them out of the system, and then we let you back in when you're ready.
Amazing. We're going to pull up his website, and as we scroll on the website, let's talk about an ideal client for you. So how large a company do you need to work with?
Our clients range from 10 computers up to 200 computers. They tend to be professional. They recognize that their computers need to be operational in order to be productive.
Yes.
They also know they need to back up their stuff to make sure that if something happens, they're able to recover from it.
And I noticed in the testimonial on your website, Dr. James Pinkney, shout out to Dr. James, he's right there on the screen. Especially in the medical field, you have HIPAA requirements. If a doctor gets hacked, that's bad news.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of requirements around HIPAA, and it's important that you have your vendors be HIPAA compliant, not just you, the doctor. And so we are also HIPAA compliant, and we help them to maintain their compliancy as well.
Is there a lot of misinformation out there? I mean, do people know? I mean, I'm sure there's small business owners watching this right now. Say, well, it can't happen to me. I don't know if I need Bob's services. It never hurts to get a checkup.
You're exactly right. If you have an IP address, and everybody does, then you're vulnerable. It doesn't cost a hacker anything to go after your IP. It's the same to go after you as it is anybody else. JP Morgan Chase is spending a lot of money on cybersecurity. You're not. Guess who they're going to go after?
Yeah.
I will say that we work with UTD and the Plano Chamber on a cybersecurity guide. UTD will offer a free security assessment. And so it's non-biased. They'll come out and take a look at what you've got going on. If they have any recommendations, they'll provide it to you at no cost.
Outstanding. We've got some video from our library of hackers, and let's just talk about the threat. The threats are coming in from all over the planet. You have, almost like cyber terrorism, don't you?
Absolutely right. I would say Ukraine, India, Czechoslovakia, Poland, Russia, of course, and China. Those are huge. When we look up our logs on our firewalls, we'll see that there are attacks coming probably 10 a second into our customers.
Incredible.
From all over the world.
And the bad guys only have to be right once
to
get in.
We have to be right 100% of the time.
Yeah. I liken it to a goalie blocking shots, but a goalie can block 20 shots a game, but if you're sending 1,000 or 2,000 a minute, a goalie's not going to be able to block all those shots.
You're exactly right. You really have to rely on your technology. I will say, though, in order to really be thinking about all of your cybersecurity, it's a lot more than just a technology. In fact, a large part of it is outside of that. It's policies and procedures. If you get an email saying, I want to transfer money, your procedure should be pick up the phone and call somebody and make sure they really ask for that. That's a great example of how it isn't really technology that is protecting you, it's a great policy.
And the bad guys have gotten so good. They're pretending to be your bank. They're pretending to be UPS. I need your information to make this delivery. They lay awake at night, don't they, Bob? Coming up with new ways to take people's money.
You're exactly right. This is where AI has really had its biggest impact. Now someone who is in a third world country can write a really well scripted email that's got great English and does a great job of looking like a valid email, like from FedEx, as an example.
It's scary. So what advice, let's talk about some do's and don'ts. What are some advice that you give your clients? I mean, obviously changing passwords. I mean, sometimes all it takes is one employee to click on a bad email.
That's exactly right. We really recommend a password manager. With a password manager, you can have very complex passwords, and you can have a different password for every login. If you need to share a password for whatever reason, then you can use that same password manager to share that with other people. This is a great way to make sure your passwords are very complex and that it keeps the bad guys out.
Okay, what's one of your favorite client success stories?
I had a client, they were a brand new customer. When we brought them on, we were getting a call from them 3 times a day, literally, having problems with their computers in the network. We replaced all of their computers. We upgraded them to the latest and greatest. Did not spend a lot of money, but then they had very good functioning computers. From then, now we only get a call from them when they have a staffing change.
Bob, I'm sure you get those calls that say, I wish I'd called you yesterday. It's better to do prevention than crisis, isn't it?
You're exactly right. Do a checkup ahead of time. Know where your gaps are. It's important that you bring in your general counsel. Let them review all the steps you're taking. Make sure that they're reasonable, because if something happens, they'll want to take a look at the steps that you've taken. You can spend a fortune on cybersecurity and still not really protect yourself. You can also really damage your productivity by being too locked down. So it's important that you take the appropriate steps that will protect you and yet give you some leeway in case something does happen.
Outstanding. You've been an amazing guest. We're going to have you back on again soon. We're going to end with his website, which is kehrtech.com, the great Bob Kehr. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much. I was glad to be here.
You bet. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.